I'm your host, Kevin Myers. Welcome back to the 24/7 News Show. It is September 15th, 2019, and a lot has happened since we last did our last political episode. But since then, Brett Kavanaugh has had more allegations of sexual harassment made against him by someone who came forward at the same time as his Supreme Court hearings. But more of these allegations have been detailed in a novel released by this woman. And frankly, I still don't understand how, let's be real here, this rapist was appointed to the bench in the first place. Even by many Republicans, by Fox News commentators, they admitted that Christine Blasey Ford's testimony was believable and incredibly damaging for both the Trump administration and Brett Kavanaugh's appointment. But somehow he made it anyway, but this has resulted in 2020 candidates calling for his impeachment from the bench. Now, we don't really have time to get into the details of that at the moment, and frankly, details are still coming out as we speak, but we're going to do our rundown of the 2020 Democratic debates on ABC last Thursday, September 12th, 2019, and the stage was much smaller because the DNC set tighter requirements, requiring candidates to reach 2% at least 4 DNC-approved polls and have at least 130,000 donors. This cut the number of candidates down from over 20 to just 10, with many suspending their campaigns as a result of not qualifying for these debates, which limited us to Amy Klobuchar, Cory Booker, Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Andrew Yang, Beto O'Rourke, and Julian Castro. Now, the overall theme of the night was once again the farther left, some who call themselves socialists, versus the more moderate Democrats, with the moderates arguing that those policies are likely to re-elect Trump, they're too far left, and then the farther left arguing that they are not doing enough to solve these problems. And overall, we saw some of this between, the biggest point of it was healthcare. That's where there's the most light between them, with some calling for a elimination of private healthcare with only Medicare for all, and others calling for a dual-tier system with Medicare for all and private insurance for those who can afford it and who choose to take part in it. Personally, this is an opinion program. You don't have to agree with me, but just to disclose where I stand, I subscribe to the belief that we should have choice, meaning a private healthcare and public healthcare option. Just because it is America, and I do believe in having that choice, and also not leaving people out to dry by having an option for those who cannot afford private healthcare, but also still incentivizing people to work hard, for among numerous other reasons to do so, but to be able to qualify that private option. Now, of course, the public option should cover most cases. That's just obvious. I personally believe in choice. But that, of course, was one of the, if not the biggest points of contention between moderates and more liberal candidates, with Biden, Warren, and Sanders sparring over this issue, between healthcare costs being flung back and forth, usually at the Medicare for all with no private insurance option, which obviously, if everyone has to be on the government option, that's going to be an expensive program. And with a private healthcare option, you are assuming a certain amount of the American people will choose to opt out of the public option and go for the private option, which would save some money theoretically. But besides that, we also saw Julian Castro attacking Joe Biden in an event that was not well received by television viewers, who saw the attack as petty, maybe too far. Now, he was attacking Biden based on, according to him, memory loss, that he had said two different things. He was forgetting something he said 2 minutes ago during the debates. I personally didn't follow Julian Castro's logic there, and Joe Biden himself has admitted that he is a quote-unquote gaffe machine, as he's been dubbed. So there's evidence for it there, but many people believed he went too far. Besides that, we saw Beto O'Rourke in what was probably one of the most important events of the night, coming out and saying, quote, "Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore." This was a very strong emotional argument he made during the debates, which I am struggling in favor of as a student and as a person who cares about other people not being shot in the streets, because there's no real purpose for these assault weapons, if we're honest here. To paraphrase Trevor Noah, if you need an assault rifle to hunt deer, maybe you should try fishing. And it's true, because put aside the moral argument there, I'm opposed to hunting. I think it's barbaric. But besides that, if you need that kind of firearm to do it, you're clearly not very good at it and probably shouldn't own a firearm in the first place. But the only other purpose for that firearm is to kill lots of people, so there's no reason for anyone to own it. And this generally, hell yes, we're going to take it. This is referring to a federal buyback program, which would require everyone to be justly compensated, but to turn in all their firearms that were like the AR-15, AK-47 firearms detailed in whatever federal buyback program he's suggesting. Now, this is a more controversial form of gun control. It does not have the same support as background checks and licensing and red flag laws. Now, licensing and red flag laws can help take those firearms away from people who should not have them. But the fact of the matter is, no one needs an AR-15 or an AK-47. And it's just not safe to have them in the country. No one needs it. No one should have it unless you are active duty military personnel. Even then, you probably shouldn't have it in your personal home. But besides that, we also saw Kamala Harris shifted her focus from the other 2020 candidates who she had been arguing back and forth with previously to clearly trying to solidify herself as a serious contender to take on Trump by even in her opening remarks talking directly to the president, saying, among other things, that directly addressing the president, let's just roll the clip. So yeah, that was a pretty powerful opening speech by Kamala Harris. Now she's still unfortunately not being considered. Right now, everyone seems to be, many political pundits, political analysts have said that the debate stage has been narrowed to Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden as the three main Democratic candidates. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of any of them. That's just my opinion. Joe Biden is probably the one is probably my favorite of those three, but that's where I stand because, again, insurance is probably the biggest issue for me. I also feel like Elizabeth Warren is on some level ingenuine. I feel like, again, this is all just my opinion, but I feel like many of her beliefs or her current plans and everything is stuff that she has noticed has gained popularity in recent years, like stuff that's made Bernie Sanders so successful. I feel like she's trying to be a carbon copy of him, and I don't like Bernie Sanders. I don't like many of his positions, but more importantly, lately he has started attacking the media in something that is like, okay, so we basically have liberal Trump now. He's old, he's cranky, he hates it when the media corrects him for lying, and that's definitely not a candidate I support. Some other candidates have been reported as having setbacks during the debates or just didn't get enough time. But overall, that's the Democratic debates for you. Thanks for watching the 24/7 News Show. Like, dislike, comment below. You know our policy on hatred by now. I've said it many times. We're not going to tolerate it. Thanks for watching.